What's up, guys? It's TechnoViking23 coming to you today with a little conversation and commentary about Destiny 2, and we're going to be talking a little bit about the upcoming Destiny 2 expansion called The Forsaken. I've been looking into it a little bit and just have some thoughts. Wanted to talk about that a little bit. I know everyone's pretty much already gone through and given their thoughts, and all the Bungie YouTubers, of course, are hyping up the expansion, and Bungie's doing the same after E3. But I've been pretty busy lately, haven't had a chance to really weigh in yet on what I thought about the reveal of the new expansion and some of the stuff that's going on. I just wanted to kind of talk about Destiny 2 in general right now and kind of give my thoughts on the state of the game. I think it's really interesting, to be honest, because I see Destiny 2 having almost the exact same lifespan, I guess, or life cycle, I would say, as the original Destiny did. In a way, the games are very, very similar in the process of which they launched, in the period of time that went by between the first expansion and the second expansion, leading up into the Taken King, which is what the Forsaken appears to be in terms of Destiny 2's saving grace, possibly. Now, I want to preface this by saying I'm not encouraging anyone to be excited about Destiny 2 Forsaken. I don't want any of you guys to pre-order Destiny 2 Forsaken, because when you pre-order things, we just get a bad deal from the get-go. And pre-ordering both Destiny and Destiny 2 is what has led Bungie to be able to get away with being so lazy in their game development for the beginning of Destiny and for the majority of Destiny 2's life cycle so far. Essentially, Destiny 2 started off the same way as the original Destiny. Very vanilla-based game, not much going on with it. Only this time people realized a little more quickly that they weren't getting a very good experience, whereas with the first Destiny, people hung on for a long time, waiting and waiting and waiting for Bungie to fix it. The Curse of Osiris DLC was just as bad, if not worse, than the Dark Below DLC. It was very lackluster. There was not much to do. It was incredibly boring to play through. I did play through it just to kind of give my thoughts on it, and it was just like basically shoot 4 or 5 enemies and then walk for like 2 hours to get to the next part of the Infinite Forest or whatever they call it. And it was just a slog, a boring slog. I think it took me maybe 2 to 3 hours to complete the entire DLC, and that's only mainly because there was so much artificial time added in from having to walk everywhere. Warmind was significantly better, in a way very comparable to how House of Wolves was in Destiny's original life cycle. It was kind of like the first DLC was trash, the second DLC was actually pretty decent, and I know that House of Wolves was a pretty enjoyable time for me with the original Destiny. That's when I actually picked the game up on PlayStation 4 and started getting into it and playing it a lot more. And I really enjoyed the House of Wolves expansion. And the Warmind expansion, I've been playing it a little bit this week, is actually pretty solid in my opinion. It was a really nice campaign, had some good cutscenes in it, had some good lore in it. The whole thing going on with Anna Bray and Elsie Bray possibly being the Exo-Stranger from the first game, and some of the lore that kind of connects those characters is pretty cool. And also, some of the activities they added in with the Warmind expansion have been pretty good. Being able to go around hunting all the data nodes and other things to unlock some of the weapons. I kind of enjoy that stuff where it allows the player to actually, in a way, dictate their experience by going through and, you know, having to discover things in order to unlock the weapons and kind of earn them in a way. I don't like the fact that so many guides pop up for that within like days and tell everybody where to go to get it all, because then it doesn't really feel like you've earned anything or really done a decent job trying to run around and explore the area. But quite honestly, I've found the Warmind expansion to be pretty solid. Mars is a pretty solid area. It's much better than Mercury in terms of a new zone to go explore. And it seems like Bungie's been doing a little bit of a better job with the game since after Curse of Osiris came out. I like to give Bungie a hard time about Destiny, but when they do start to do a good job, you know, I also want to give them credit for it, even if there's really no excuse for Destiny 2 having released in the state that it did, and for them to be adding all this stuff in like after the fact. I think a lot of the stuff they're changing and fixing should have been in Destiny 2 to begin with. There was no reason to start all over again with a blank slate the way they did when they had Destiny, in my opinion, in a very, very good spot at the end of its life cycle. Destiny at the end of its run was, I felt, in a really, really good spot. They had a lot to do for casual players. There was a lot of stuff to do for hardcore players. All the raids and everything were available. There was a lot to do, a lot to play, lots of content. And then they just kind of dumbed everything down with Destiny 2, made some baffling changes like the weapon system and a lot of other stuff. And quite honestly, Destiny 2 just feels too easy, in my opinion. That was one of the thoughts I had on the game when I first played it when it released. And even still, even running through the Warmind expansion, it's like, it's just too easy. There's really no challenge at all in the game, unless you play some of the heroic adventures that are available on the planets. Those can be kind of hard, just because they make the enemies just really, really tough to kill and give them insane damage. That's really the only way they kind of mitigate it. But really, there's not much of a challenge in Destiny 2. I don't think that's going to change with the Forsaken, because this seems like they're really aiming this game towards the casual player base, and that's who they really want to keep involved with Destiny 2. Those thoughts aside, just looking at what we got on the Forsaken reveal and seeing some of the other videos coming out about it, it looks pretty interesting, I have to be honest. The whole Prince Aldrin returning with the new, which probably won't be a new enemy group, it's probably just going to be the other enemies reskin, sort of how the Taken were and the Taken King, but we know that Bungie has to really knock this one out of the park, because fans, unlike with the first Destiny, are kind of done giving them chances with this game. The Warmind expansion was supposed to be just an amazing expansion that brought everybody back, and I don't think it did that, even though it's a pretty decent expansion. I think a lot of fans are just fed up with the state of the game. They're fed up with how long it's taken Bungie to fix things, and in general, the Destiny community is at its probably its most toxic point ever right now. And with even some of the YouTubers having, started to voice their disinterest in the game at times. So, Bungie's really got to hit it out of the park with the Forsaken expansion. It's going to have to be really, really good. I will say I am kind of hopeful for it. I've seen some really cool stuff so far. The Gambit game mode really excites me. I think that's something I would really enjoy. It seems pretty cool. They're talking about how it's like this new and innovative game mode, but it's not really. They've had game modes like that in other FPS games. Warzone and Halo 5 comes to mind. Titanfall 2 also had a game mode very similar to that. And you can even go as far as to talk about the Division's Dark Zone. But it looks really cool. I think it's going to be an interesting game mode. I think it's going to have a lot of replayability. And it's just a new facet they're adding in, which I think is pretty cool. And it definitely gives a different portion of the player base something to do. It's going to be something, I guess, very similar to Prison of Elders. Give us a PvE activity that is kind of enjoyable, where in the past they've catered mostly to PvP. But I think it looks really neat. I don't know, I haven't really seen much about what the story campaign is going to be like, or what new zone they're bringing in. But if the Reef is going to be back, I think that means we may see some version of Prison of Elders back. I think Varix is going to be back, which would be pretty cool. He was one of my favorite characters in the first game. Petrovenge is going to be back. I'm guessing the Queen is going to show up at some point. And I'm thinking Eris Morn will be back as well. I keep thinking they're going to spin some kind of Eris is evil and she's going to be helping Aldrin with the Forsaken, or something's going to be going on with that. It's going to be really interesting to see what they pull off with it. But I'm cautiously optimistic that they're going to finally pull Destiny 2 up by its bootstraps and finally make it be sort of an enjoyable experience. Because as I said earlier in the video, it pretty much reminds me exactly of the life cycle of the original Destiny, where the game released and was not in a good spot. The first DLC was pretty bad. The second DLC was decent, but still wasn't enough to bring a lot of people back. Then the Taken King dropped, and it was kind of like, okay, this is more the direction we want to go in. As I said before, though, unfortunately, this is not where they should have been started. We shouldn't be this far into Destiny 2 with them having to repair the game and rebuild things with the community again. It should have been like this pretty much from the get-go. So that's kind of disappointing, but I don't know. Like I said, Bungie and Destiny have had a very interesting relationship with me, and I've been very down on Bungie a lot of the times. I don't really feel like getting back in their corner or even giving them any kind of credit, because they've treated their community and some of the fans, especially the fans of their previous games, just so badly with their business practices when they've teamed up with Activision and just gone on to just milk Destiny for as much money as they possibly can. But there are things, definitely in the Forsaken that are looking pretty cool. I like the bow and arrow too, the fact they're adding that in, even though the gameplay footage I've seen with the bow and arrows look kind of weird. It's just hasn't seemed like all that great. I'm still excited a little bit for it. I think they're finally going to do it and finally bring some people back into the game. And I have to admit, I've been playing a little bit of Destiny 2 here recently, because a lot of my friends, we've been kind of burned out on Overwatch, so we were kind of wanting to jump back into a different game, so we started playing Destiny a little bit. None of us had been on since Curse of Osiris came out, because quite honestly, we haven't had much motivation to play the game. But we decided we would jump back on, play a couple Nightfalls, run through the Warmind campaign. Pretty quickly got up to like 360 light level, power level, whatever it is, and we're running through faction rallies this week, and It seems like, just like I said earlier, it seems like there's more activities to do. There's more stuff to do, like with Iron Banner was last week, and then Faction Rallies is this week, and with all the stuff that you have to go do on Mars once you finish the Warmind campaign, trying to get the new weapons and go through and collect all the data nodes and the sleeper nodes and everything. It's for someone like me now, where I only want to get on and play games for an hour or two each night. You know, Destiny has a little bit to offer me, and I'm gonna cover this in another video where I talk about the attempt to balance the game between casual gameplay and hardcore gameplay. I think one of the problems where Destiny's failing right now is they don't really have enough to do for the hardcore player base, and maybe Forsaken is going to fix that, kind of how the Taken King did with the Dreadnought being so explorable and having all the different secrets and the chests and all the different areas you could find. I think Forsaken's going to deliver something like that, hopefully, for the Destiny 2 player base, especially the hardcore players of the game. Because quite honestly, you know, getting on, only playing an hour or two each night, it's very easy to get through all your milestones, to get all your powerful gear for the week. You know, even Faction Rallies, I haven't been playing hardly much at all, and since I haven't been playing the game at all, I was like rank 1 or something. I'm already up to like rank 20 with New Monarchy in like 2 nights, just not even really trying hard. I was able to get the cool faction ship, and even Iron Banner seemed more casual this time. I hadn't played Iron Banner at all in Destiny 2, and it was basically like, it didn't matter if you won or lose, it was very easy to build up tokens and unlock gear and get new stuff, which I really liked the old Iron Banner, where you basically had to actually win matches before you could cash in your medallions and things to get your rank up. But yeah, overall it just feels like Destiny 2 is more appealing to the people who don't have a lot of time to play the game. It's almost like they want to just throw loot at you and make it feel, you know, not make it feel like you have to work very hard for it. And I think that's one of the problems that they've had, especially keeping some of their YouTubers on board, because, you know, when you have people that want to play the game 8-9 hours a day, with Destiny 2, there just simply isn't that amount of content to support that amount of gameplay. There just isn't that much to do in the game. So that's definitely a problem they need to address. With the Forsaken expansion, is giving players enough new meaningful content to last them a long time. Now, I will also touch on the fact that they are adding additional DLC in with the Forsaken, and not just the new DLC. I think it's $40 to buy the Forsaken if you just buy it straight up, but they're also launching a new season pass for an extra $30, which is apparently going to have 2 or 3 more DLCs on it. So you're looking at $70 for another Destiny 2 expansion, and it's kind of getting into Destiny territory where you just keep dropping money on it over and over and over again and hope they're going to eventually, you know, make the game good again. And I don't know if I would want to spend that much money to get back into it. With all of the negative things that have happened with Destiny 2, you would almost think Bungie would try to somehow make this expansion a little bit more accessible to people monetarily. I'm not saying they should put it out for free, because I understand, you know, business and economics, and the fact that, as like people like say, oh, the devs have to eat too. I don't feel very sorry for companies like Bungie in that aspect, though, because quite honestly, they're making millions of dollars hand over fist. There's nobody at Bungie who's going poor right now who's not being able to put food on the table. Just based on the pre-orders that Destiny 2 got alone. All the stuff they make after that is pretty much gravy, and they make a ton of money on sales of silver and microtransactions, so it's not really something where they're hurting for money. So I really would have liked to see them package the DLC in with this expansion. Maybe not all of it, but at least I think they said they're doing 3 DLC packs after the Forsaken. I would have liked to see them at least package 1 or 2 of those in with the $40 DLC price, instead of making people spend another $30 on top of that, just to show a little goodwill. They're just a company that they really need a lot of goodwill, especially at a time when, you know, CD Projekt Red is getting ready to come out with Cyberpunk 2077, and has already talked about how, you know, everything's going to be free pretty much. There's no microtransactions. You're not going to make you pay for DLC. They're going to give you the full game experience for the money you pay. And I'm going to be doing a video on E3 probably after this one, talking about that a little bit, because there were some games at E3 that especially Cyberpunk, that I'm really, really excited for. Actually, that's probably pretty much the only one. But I want to talk about that, talk about Anthem, and maybe talk about Destiny 2 a little bit more in depth. But anyways, guys, that's pretty much it for this video. I think I've rambled on long enough. Let me know down below in the comments what you thought of the reveal for the Forsaken. I know a lot of you guys are pretty fed up with Bungie and don't really buy into the Destiny stuff anymore, but just definitely interested to hear what you guys have to say if you're going to give them another chance. And again, don't pre-order it. I strongly suggest you don't pre-order the expansion. That just gives them a free pass, gives them money ahead of time so they can mail it in and not do as good a job on it as they should. So I can't stress that enough. I'm not saying don't buy it. You know, if it comes out and it looks like something you want to get, and you look at some reviews and it looks like something that might appeal to you, then go ahead and pick up the game. But just don't pre-order. That's all I'm asking, guys. Just have common sense. Don't pre-order the game. Anyways, guys, that's going to do it for me. Hope you guys enjoyed the video. Hope you guys are having a great day. Thanks as always for watching, and I will see you again next time.